Right.
Kevin, what was your reaction, a close prediction of you guys kicking Arkansas's behind?
I talked to Cliff, and it shouldn't surprise anybody since we spent 5 years together, and he's did a great job for us here, did a great job at Houston, and it's not uncommon to have a conversation with the opponent's and next opponent's head coach. So, my opinion doesn't matter. What's going on between those two guys is going on between those two guys, and so that's okay. I'll just be at the Texas High School Football Coaches Association deal this year. Maybe I'll referee. How about that? Because I've known both the guys for a long time.
And last year when you guys met this team, you thought very highly of Arkansas. They obviously are struggling a little bit coming in. What do you feel like is different about that team as you guys get ready for them?
Yeah, I still feel the same way, and it ended up being the right thing. That was an overtime game last year that took a lot out of our football team, and they took it and moved forward. They were a really, really good football team at the end of the year. So, for us, this is the beginning of conference play, and that's the reality of it. So, nothing's changed from our point of view of how we feel about Arkansas, or how we view Arkansas. As the first game of the SEC and playing in where we play, it's going to be a big time atmosphere, and it's a game that both of us need to win.
To the left, Cease.
So going into conference race, Kevin, where do you feel the West is? Do you feel there's one or two favorites when you look at the race?
You tell me. It's not for me to. I go through everything, week to week. You guys are the ones that told us who was going to win at the beginning of the year. So, we weren't in that conversation. Nobody's talking about us. All we're doing is playing every week. I don't set up a board and rank the SEC West every week. I worry about who we're playing.
Down front, Kate.
A couple of times since last year, you've referenced how you guys really got beat up in the Arkansas game a year ago, even though you came out with a win. Just wondering how much that did affect some of the changes you've made. And like Mike Matthews was in here telling us recovery is a lot different. Even yoga on Sundays now.
He's telling too much. I got to get with him on that. Yeah, we've changed a lot of things. Not a lot, but obviously, we made some changes defensively and from schematically, philosophically, and up front, offensive line-wise. Our approach in the offseason has been different. And our approach to what we're doing during the season has been different. So, I think anytime, as a coach, when you go through what we went through last year, to go 5 straight weeks and win, and then have the drop-off that we had in the middle of the season, come back and win a couple big ball games, your job, my job is to assess where the program is all the time. And you've heard me say it before, Kate, the good things, you want to improve those and stay ahead of the curve, and the things that aren't working, you need to figure out a way what the issue is. And so, we've done some research looking into our practice schedule, what we're asking our guys to do, and basically looking at where we are depth-wise in this league. And you've heard me say that too. This is a line of scrimmage and a line of scrimmage depth league. So, we feel better about where we are from a depth standpoint, defensive line-wise. Now that we've gotten AJ back, we've got some depth at linebacker, and our offensive line's the same way. So we've built to that, but we've also done some things to change things, because I don't think, right or wrong, what you have to do is look at where you are and be honest with, hey, look, whatever we did last year, we've got to help and give our guys a chance. And I think we've gone out and done that, and we'll see, how the results go. But I think our guys feel better, they feel fresher, and we'll see going forward.
To the right, Gabe.
Coach, I was about to ask you about AJ Hilliard specifically. How did you feel he shook off some rust and got in the flow of the game as it went along, and how important is he, especially against a team like Arkansas?
Yeah, I think you got to remember this guy hadn't played since the second or third quarter of South Carolina. A year ago, so he missed all of last season, and he, it was a really horrific injury, and so to come back from that from a mental standpoint, that was difficult. He broke a wrist towards the end of summer, so he really through fall camp, was kind of hit and miss, and to get him to play last week, I thought was a big deal. Going into SEC play, he flashed, made some plays, and did some things that were rusty. So I think going into this week, he's been able to watch a video of the game yesterday, understand the game plan a little bit more, played a lot of snaps Saturday. You look back and really the two guys that had cramping problems or were tired were he and Miles, guys, and a little bit of Zaycoven, but Zaycoven, didn't play as many snaps in the rotation, and that's to be expected because there's shape and there's football shape, and it was pretty hot Saturday. But for him to go through and play the way he played Saturday, and be able to be, see that and say, hey, look, I got to be here instead of there. I got to do this quicker. I think we're going to benefit from him being able to play Saturday going forward.
Go to the back, Colin.
Thank you, Coach. I think Arkansas is one of 5 teams in the country that hasn't given up a sack yet, so far this season. How much are you using that as a motivation for your defense to, I guess, maybe be, the first team to get to Brandon Allen?
Not using that at all.
Not at all?
No.
Stay in the back.
That doesn't, you just put up, it's kind of like the ranking deal. You don't go in there and tell your team, hey, they haven't given up a sack, we got to get a sack. Our guys know what they're supposed to do. We've got 2 defensive ends that rush the passer. So, they want to get a sack regardless of what the stats say.
We'll stay in the back, Daryl.
Can you talk about Brandon Allen and maybe if he's a better quarterback this year than he was last year when you faced him?
I don't know. Allen has been a good quarterback. You look last year, he's one of the few guys last year that really had a low interception to touchdown ratio, one of the lowest in the country. With guys throwing over 20 touchdowns. So he has been efficient as a quarterback. A lot of what they do comes off of play action. They got a great running game, as you know. They got biggest offensive line in the country. In my opinion, they've got probably one of, if not the best tight ends in the country, which they get him loose on crossing routes, deep routes. He's been fabulous for the last couple of years. So they've got weapons. He's been efficient. That hasn't been an issue. I think they've had some issues in the red zone the last couple of weeks, but they've gone up and down the field between the 20s. He's not turning the ball over, and he's a better quarterback. He was a good quarterback last year, and he's a better quarterback this year.
Other questions over here to the left, Cease.
Can you talk about what's changed with Tenebra Ladson? He's doing well in his placements. Can you see anything specifically from the last time when he was doing a lot of the placements, kicking?
Well, one thing is it's been 3 years. So, hopefully over the last couple years, we lost he was replaced by, correct me if I'm wrong, he was replaced by the all-time leading percentage kicker in the history of Texas A&M.
Correct.
In Josh Lambo. So a guy who, from a percentage standpoint, extra point and field goals, was the best kicker to ever play here, place kicker. So over the course of the last 2 or 3 years, he's worked at it. He's had an opportunity to grow up. He's had an opportunity to mature and physically and mentally, and that's to be expected. You would hope that a guy 3 years later is not the same guy that maybe he was as a freshman, and that's the same with Drew Kaiser. When I got here, Drew was a guy who, and Brian Polian will tell you this, Drew was a guy who redshirted, who had really a hamstring problem and didn't punt at all, and now he's leading the country. So over the course of 2 or 3 years, particularly with kickers, you have the opportunity, kickers and punters, specialists, anybody. You would hope that as they grow and mature physically, they mature mentally, and I think that's where he is right now.
Down front.
I mean, you look at what he was 3 for 3 field goals. He was 5 for 5 extra points, and he had 7 touchbacks, balls out of the end zone last week. That's not a good performance. That's a great performance, and we're going to need him to keep playing at that level. It's going to be hard for him to do that, but that was an outstanding effort by him last week.
Down front, Kate.
I know you're not in control of everything, but considering the new Kyle Field, is it still an advantage to play this game in Arlington every year?
What do you mean by an advantage?
Is there enough recruiting advantage? I mean, considering this could be a on-campus series, you could play it at home every other year in a $485 million stadium.
Yeah, you know how it is. As a coach, you don't make the schedule. This thing was made a long time ago, so you play the schedule that you have. If you're gonna leave, you're playing in arguably the best venue in the country as far as professional stadiums. So, sure, would we love to play the game at home in our new stadium? I don't think there's anybody who wouldn't, as a fan, as a player, as a coach. But, that was decided a long time ago before I got here. So, you get the schedule, you play it. We'll have a lot of people there. Anybody who was there last year saw that the atmosphere was a really, really good one, and it was good at NRG. It'll be good up there, and for us, the overall schedule to play, here 7 times and play at NRG and play there this year for our fans' experience is a good one, and for our players, it's a good one, because I don't think you're going to play in any better stadiums than we're playing in right now.
Go down front to Brent and then KO in the back.
Over here.
To the right.
Sorry.
Sorry,
moved on
you're
you.
moved.
Yeah, my bad.
Lucci got you, huh? You're going to let that, I was going to say something, but I'm not going to say it. We opened it up about fighting, so I was going to, that would have been a national soundbite, so I'm going to leave that alone.
Something about an ass kicking.
Yeah, so I better not do that.
Speaking of recruiting, I wanted to ask you, you touched on it a little bit on the SEC teleconference, but that commercial you were in, how much something like that helps in terms of exposure, where it was filmed, and lastly, who are those guys sitting around you?
Who are those people? That is not a mannequin sitting next to me, so I've heard that. Even my family asked me that. It was an opportunity with Adidas, who's been a great partner with us and in our athletics department, and just a situation where they were going to shoot a commercial for the new speed presentation, and they called and asked if I wanted to do it, and I said, tell me a little bit about it, and they said the guys that were going to be in there, and Sammy Watkins and Jimmy Graham and DeMarco Murray and you, and I said, okay, but you have to get to LA, and it was this summer, so it was during vacation time. Went out to LA and dressed up like I was on. I don't go to football games dressed like that, but I figured nobody would know who I was if I didn't dress that way. So it helps us. It helps just like anything else. Whenever you have an opportunity to expose, not only your program, but Texas A&M, the brand, as much as that's out there, it does nothing but help us. And as I said, with Adidas, where they are right now with us as a athletic department, not just football, they've been a great partner with us, and hopefully will continue to be, because that's great exposure for us, the product, everything.
We'll go KO and then Daryl in the back.
Coach, with the amount of time that the number twos, are you satisfied with the amount of time the twos have gotten in actual game situations, and where, if anything, needs to be worked on with the number twos heading into SEC West in Arkansas?
Shoot, we got stuff to work on with the ones. What are you talking about? That's, if you're happy with the twos being out there, then that means that you're in control of the football game. I think what the bigger part of the picture is that we've been able to rotate guys in meaningful situations. Does that make sense? Instead of just clearing the field and putting guys out there and it becoming a sloppier football game. So the ability to rotate the twos and make them 1Bs, as I say, instead of twos, is a big step, and a big step for the program, a big step for the individual. But for those guys to play on second and third down in meaningful situations, or first downs in meaningful situations, is probably more important than the consistent playing time with other guys that may or may not play. So I think the biggest step is not just the twos, which are sometimes the threes in the second half of some of these games. The biggest step has been, particularly defensively, for the Quaylen Cunninghams and the Jared Johnsons to rotate with Deshaun Hall and Myles Garrett, and for us to have the confidence to put them in there on second down or first down and get those guys off the field. And for Zaycove and Henderson and Dalen Mack to rotate and get Alonzo and Julian Obioha off the field in meaningful downs. To me, that's more important than the wholesale substitution situation. The rotation of at nickel with Donovan Wilson, and shoot, I just lost it right there. Noel Ellis, who are just rotating basically series. So that's more important to me than just the twos going out there and playing a football game, getting them experience as true backups, but getting a depth rotation that is meaningful, that we can have confidence in putting them in the game, and they can have confidence in that situation.
Go to the back, Daryl.
I know that every game is supposed to be taken as seriously as the next game or whatever, but have they kind of stepped up their attention, maybe stepped up their play a little bit because it's the start of the SEC this week?
I don't know. You'd like to think that from where we are, what we're trying to do is get better every week, and regardless of opponent. So correct the mistakes from a week ago, eliminate the things that are bad football, hold guys accountable, individually, and try to get guys to get better individually, because if they do, we get better as a team. So I don't know that that's the case. I think that we've got a lot of guys playing. We've got a lot of guys who understand what's at stake, and they understand that we've got the tools to be a good football team. We've got to get better to be the team that we're capable of being, and then this is another step this week.
Coach, to wrap it up, do you want to expound on Roscoe and his contribution?
I did.
Well, that's why I was throwing it out there for you, Caden Smith.
Caden Smith, I guess I met with him yesterday. I said, hey, you want to do some media tomorrow? He said, are you kidding? So he goes, people don't even know who I am. So, he's a guy, another walk-on from Roscoe, Texas, which we had to find out where that was. But he's just a heck of a player, and a guy that has been kind of an unsung guy this year, moving around on offense. He's played some special teams and has really developed into a vocal leader on this team. On the sideline and during the game, and so I know yesterday he was a little shy about doing a little media today, but I kind of forced him to do it. So usually it's the shy guys that become the loud guys when you get to them. So just be nice to them.
All right, Coach. Thanks.